Hello. There was one ceremonies and rituals which marked a person's transition from one life stage to another. This didn't just honor the individual's transition, but also reinforce social bonds and cultural continuity. The core structure of these rites of passages are consistent across many different cultures. As per anthropologist Arnold von Hennep, there are three stages. There's number one, separation, where the child is removed from the community. The second is the liminality, which is a threshold gate. And third, we have incorporation, where the person's returned with the new identity. The whole point of rites of passages were to do with, in no chronological order, but one of them is facing pain and fear, because if you don't face things mentally, emotionally, and even physically, it tends to produce really fragile adults. And another point is to do with psychological deaths and rebirth. So this is where the child dies and the adult is reborn. So the person who comes back is seen as a new being. And the third point is a transmission of sacred knowledge. And this could have been cosmological, ethical, or practical, where the individual got it from sacred plant medicines or from the elders of the community. However, with the introduction of mainstream religion everywhere, um, industrialization, consumer capitalism, all these practices essentially got wiped out all over the world. And it was unfortunate because it was through these rituals and ceremonies, the men found an answer to who am I? A defined place and responsibility within community, and in a sense of an inner knowing of being tested and being found worthy, as well as the recognition from the elders within community. So the modern day consumer capitalism fills the vacuum with money, status, physical dominance, and possessions, which aren't inherently bad or evil, and it actually has its own place. However, these things doesn't, I don't believe it satisfy the man's internal hunger to who am I and what's my purpose. And it's because when an identity is built on external factors, it becomes really fragile because these things can be taken away anytime. As per psychologists Robert Miller and Robert Bly, an uninitiated man remains psychologically a boy regardless of his life achievements. So, my observation of manosphere, it's just a response to this deep societal wound to lack of male role models, loneliness, and wanting answers to questions regarding identity on who am I and what's my purpose? What am I meant? Why am I here? And what am I meant to do? So, what's the solution? And it's essentially a modern day rite of passage. And it would be about a man who chooses to walk towards it, knowing it will completely break him down. And actually, it's more difficult in this day and age because it's entirely self-directed. There are no oral or written framework that these guys can follow. Plus, there's no community to support them before or after. And this itself creates a specific kind of loneliness. But I know there are many guys who are on this path, and I want to say good luck because you might be the elder that the youth need one day.